What's up, everybody, and welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. Tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about the Ian McCarthy video, which I got a few emails and comments and people telling me that Ian was straight up coming at me in his video, which is about science being theoretical. Now, I watched the video and I do agree that he's coming at me because he said something that I personally say, and that is that science and all that data doesn't apply to the real world. And I think that this is partly my fault because sometimes when I say things they get misconstrued because I talk a certain way, okay? Certain phrases and stuff from when I grew up in New England, I'll say down here and people look at me like, what the hell are you talking about? And that's just some of the things that I say. So when I said real world, I didn't mean that the scientists didn't go and would use them on humans, that they sat in a room and made up these things that, you know, they would publish. Yes, I understand totally that they come up with a theory and then they test the theory on people. And they usually try to get a wide variety of people and they test these theories on them. Now, whatever the theories are, I can guarantee you that they have not tested these theories on an advanced level athlete like myself or my girlfriend or any of the people that are called bros that are in that national level competitive bodybuilding circles. They just don't do it. They get the average majority of people, and they may get some trained people, untrained people that do CrossFit, people that are bodybuilders but not high level bodybuilders, whatever. They'll do the studies, and then what happens is they take the majority, and let's say 60% of them it works for, then they post that saying 60% of the people this worked for, so therefore it works, okay? And, excuse me, they're not going to do studies on people like me. Until someone comes along and is ready to fund that, it's not going to happen. I mean, it's about the money as far as the funding goes. They're not interested in building the biggest bodybuilder on the planet. They're interested in helping people. They're interested in healing people. So now here's what happens. You get little bits from the science that they try, and you learn. And you say, okay, this does this. Well, that gets you this far. So now, what do you do to get this far? So, like, how do you get from here to here? Because we're here, and the studies end up here. So if I want to be advanced, how do I get there? Science is left off here. And I think what Ian's thinking is that if he keeps doing what science says, that eventually he'll get there. And that's just not the case because we've done that. That's why we're bro scientists. We've done that and spun our wheels and say, you know what, spinning my wheels absolutely fucking sucks. And I don't want to do that anymore. So I need to get where I want to go, and I need to find out how to do it. And that's what we do. We find out how to do it. The same thing a scientist does. We'll come up with a theory, and then we will test it on ourselves or other people that are willing to do it. And that's how these things come to be for the next thing. So essentially, we're doing a theory based on other science that we already knew from the beginning. And we come up with a new theory just like that scientist did and test it on ourselves and our clients. And lo and behold, we get the results. So it's the same exact process, but we don't have lab coats, PhDs, and little name tags and stuff. That's the difference. A good example of how science ends up in things progress without science is Dorian Yates, Mike Mentzer, and Arthur Jones. Now, Arthur Jones was the creator of Nautilus. You guys know who he was. So Arthur Jones had this like full body workout, high intensity, low volume routine that he was doing. And he was created his Nautilus, which had a cam on it for negative resistance, and it was a whole big thing. And he put that on the market, and that got people results. And that was very scientifically based. He went through the whole thing to figure out why this was like this, why it was like that. And now what happened was Mike Mentzer came along, and he took Arthur Jones' teachings, and he was trying to figure out how to take a step further because the science had ended off to where Arthur Jones created an athlete, but not the type of athlete Mentzer wanted to be, but he thought the principles were sound. So now what Mike did was Mike made that leap. So Mentzer made the leap to, okay, the next level. What do I have to do to get the next level? And he had theories and he had ideas, and he tested them, and he produced arguably one of the best physiques in the history of bodybuilding that was thicker and denser than all the rest of them based on his theories that he tested on him and his brother, and it worked. So now, Dorian Yates checks out the Nautilus principles, agrees with Mike Mentzer's ideas, has his own way of doing it. So now you had Arthur Jones producing a certain kind of physique, Mike Mentzer producing a more advanced physique, and now Dorian Yates breaks on the scene in like 1990 with his way of training, which was based on Mentzer's ideas, but tweaked with his own theories and ideas to build his physique, which again set a new standard in bodybuilding. So now basically you have Dorian Yates, who was a bro scientist, Mike Mentzer, who was a bro scientist, and Arthur Jones, who was just basically into the science. So Arthur Jones was the start of it, but there were two progressions after that that evolved into what the bodybuilding is today. Now, Mentzer would go back from time to time and train with Arthur to get more information, or maybe Arthur came up with some new things. okay, maybe through science or maybe on his own. And then Dorian would actually go and train with Mike Mentzer to come up with, because Mike would come up with new things on his own too. So he was constantly evolving and trying things and testing them out. And that is not, I mean, that is science, but it's bro science together. It's doing the same thing. It's saying science says this, bro science says this, they can go together, let's try them together, and boom, all of a sudden they have another physique. Then Dorian, again, when he came out, he was doing that whole high intensity, low volume. He went beyond failure with his sets and stuff like that, and he produced that physique. So how can you guys possibly say, or how can Ian possibly say, that all those scientific theories are based on real world, but the real world really doesn't have much to do with bodybuilding? The real world, when they walk in the gym, they're scared when they see us. When we walk in a mall, they stare at us. We are not the real world. We're kind of our own thing that's going on. Because everywhere I go, when I walk in a room, if it's not a bodybuilding crowd or a bodybuilding show, the average person's going to stare. They're going to look. They're going to look at me. They're going to look at my girlfriend. And we get these looks and we go, did I spill something on myself? Do I have dog hair on me? Like, well, what's the problem? Why are they looking at me like that? Because we look so different. And I can guarantee you, if you took those people that were in the study, that the scientists are studying, and we took them out, and I put them through my workout for 6 weeks, I can guarantee you they don't make it the full 6 weeks. Why? Because it's not the same. We're two different animals at this point. Okay? As far as training and muscle size and strength, I've evolved way past the point that science has studied. Bro scientists, many of the national competitive bodybuilders and the IFBB pros have evolved past what science has come up with. Science has got them to this point, and they're way beyond that. So now, what do you have to do? I mean, if we actually stopped and said, science has all the answers, there would be no Jay Cutler. There would be no Kai Green. There'd be no Dorian Yates, no Kevin Levrone. There'd be none of them, because they would all look like Steve Reeves did back in the day. Okay? They would, even Arnold and those guys were doing pure bro science way before these guys nowadays. So there would technically be no modern bodybuilding without bro scientists. And I don't care whether the scientific community agrees, they don't agree, they produce results, whatever. The bottom line is our sport is based on the bro science. It's based on instinct. It's based on pushing the envelope. It's based on evolving beyond what everyone previously was. And until science decides to go, like MuscleTech or somebody funds a study to go up to the IFBB pros and study these guys for 6 months one at a time, we're never going to have an answer as to why these things are the way they are, and we're going to have to just try to figure it out and theorize on our own what's going on. So I hope this explains a little bit to Ian about why I said what I said. And it was probably the wrong wording, and of course he picked up on it and just, I know he was talking about me, that's fine. BioStreetTraining@gmail.com. Leave the comments down below, www.biostreettraining.com. And we're out. Bodybuilding is not in the real world.